Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my YouTube channel or my podcast. I'm Will, coming out of the Multidimensional Guide and Pleiadian channel, here to help you awaken, heal, and expand your consciousness. And today, in this solo cast video episode, I'm going to be talking about the shift into 5D consciousness and how can we stay more in that 5D consciousness, or even do we need to stay in that 5D consciousness? And this was inspired by a message that I posted on my Instagram called Pleiadian channel. In case you don't know, I have this page on Instagram that I post daily channeled messages from the Pleiadians. It's at Pleiadian channel. I'll put the link here and in the description as well, in case you're not following me there. Every day there's a channel message there, and it's a beautiful community that we're building there, we're co-creating there. So I'm gonna read the message and then we'll depict, or we're gonna go in depth into this message. So the message goes: the goal currently for humans is not to reach 5D and stay there. If there was a goal to be set, this would only be to continue to expand your consciousness. The human collective is oscillating between 3D, 4D, and 5D, and it will continue to be like this for a long time. The 3D linear time and space and your physicality will not disappear. What is happening is that as you start to experience more moments of 5D level of awareness, you are able to observe your 3D, 4D self with more neutrality. In other words, you are able to observe the duality, the waves of emotions, the thoughts popping up, without getting carried away by them or being identified with them. And even when you do, you can find your way back to your heart center. Okay, we're gonna let that sink in for a few seconds. I got quite a few messages from this post saying, I'm confused, I don't get it. And then I did a poll on my stories asking if you guys wanted me to make a video about it. So here I am, this is the video. And so for us to get everything clear, I think that we need to understand 3 points. Number one, dimensions are like the arenas through which consciousness moves. Number two, the dimensions of consciousness are levels of consciousness or awareness. And number three, the state of consciousness is slightly different to the level of awareness from moment to moment. All right, so let's depict this. So let's focus on what a dimension is. So when we're talking about 3D, 4D, 5D, and we're just talking about the dimension, we are actually talking about space. We're talking about, we can use the word arena. And so consciousness is moving through these different dimensions that for our linear mind, we perceive them as linear and we perceive them as layers. So 3D is here, the 4D is here, the 5D is here. But when we're talking about these arenas, you can imagine a spiral, and within that spiral there's this vertical axis that's connecting to the black hole of the Milky Way, which is the 9th dimension, down to the 1st dimension, which is the very center of Mother Earth, which is the densest dimension, which is an iron core crystal. So yes, there's more density there, and it's also very much connected to gravity, because as you move down through that spiral, there's more and more gravity. Gravity starts to become denser and denser. So yes, when we're talking about a 5D, just the space, there is less gravity. So there's not much matter, there's not much density, but there is still a level of gravity. There is still a level of physicality. So in this message, when they're saying that there's still physicality here in the 3D, it's because we're still living in a 3rd dimension arena, right? We're still dealing with a level of gravity that keeps us here, keeps us sitting down, and keeps us standing, okay? This is not gonna go away just like that, okay? When we're talking about Earth shifting into a 5D planet, that also applies to us. She's shifting into a different space as well, and we are shifting too. So what that means is that in the future, our bodies will be lighter for sure, and our bodies are becoming lighter too. We are coming from a more dense carbon-based physical body into a more light crystalline body. That's not going to happen overnight. That's not going to happen next year, but it is happening, and you can feel it because your body might be going through changes. You might feel like certain foods are not sitting well with you, that you might actually want to move your body and take care of your physical body. You might want to lose weight or gain weight. There are a lot of shifts happening on a cellular level. So that's one thing that we need to keep in mind, that when we're talking about dimensions, there is a level of physicality that's not necessarily going to go away. So when we say we're shifting into a 5D planet or we're shifting into 5D consciousness, that doesn't mean that suddenly this is all going to go away and we're all beings of light floating around, because we are beings of light in our essence. We are all just sparkles of light, consciousness having the experience of you, of me, okay? But we are incarnate here on planet Earth at this time and space. And there are other versions as well of our selves, of our multidimensional selves, that are incarnate in different times and space, in different planets, in different universes even, okay? But because you are here, you're experiencing this arena, you're experiencing this type of physicality, okay? And the Pleiadians, although they vibrate from a 5D above, and they are, a portion of them is already living in 5D planets, they still have a level of physicality. It's just not as dense as this. And to top that up, our notion of physicality is not as accurate as it seems, because we are actually more space than matter. So this body here, if you just take all of the matter in our body, it's just the size of a sugar cube. So we are actually more space than matter. And we are in a very, we could say, privileged dimension, because we're always in contact with the lower dimensions. And lower in this case, it's just lower because it is lower. We're in 3 and there's 2 and 1. It's not necessarily worse. It's not bad. It's not negative. But we are always in touch with the first and the second dimension, which is gravity and nature. And we are also always in touch with the subtle energies, with the higher realms, with the 4D, 5D, and above. Number 2 is the dimensions of consciousness is then the level of consciousness. So if there's the third dimension as the arena, there is a level of consciousness that's moving within that 3D arena. There's another level of consciousness in 4D. There's another level of consciousness in 5D. And again, even though I'm explaining in a way that feels like it's layered or separate, they're all interconnected. So when we're talking about dimensions of consciousness, we're actually talking about levels of awarenesses, okay? So because Earth has been shut down in a quarantine, in a lockdown, if you will, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, Earth has been living under the illusion that it's a separate planet from the galaxy, from the universe, and it's been in this 3D false matrix, okay? Because it was the reset plan. It was the time that Mother Earth needed to heal, to gain back her sovereignty. And this is what she's doing now, and this is what we're doing too. We're breaking through from the 3D false matrix And there is also a little bit of a difference, not a little bit of a difference, quite a big difference between you just observing the 3D or analyzing the 3D, if you will, from a neutral space, just objectively. The 3D is the realm of linear time and space. And then there's a difference from that to the 3D false matrix, which is old already, right? That's a different topic for maybe a different video, but this is what we're coming out of. This is what we're breaking through, because that's not the reality that we live in anymore. Because now we are coming into the realization, we are awakening to the fact that we are more than just physical beings, that there's more than this material world, that we are more than just human beings with a finite life, with a limited experience. And so the 3D level of awareness in itself is not bad either, but it's very limited. It is limited because it's very linear, right? Linear time and space, past, future, earthly time, and all of these things that we still have to deal with because we are, again, living in a third dimension. And there's also the level of awareness in terms of, I feel I'm separate from everything. Everything is dual. There's duality, there's separation, there's ego, and there's good or bad, right? And so all of this is very limited, and that gives us the impression that we're separate. And this has been the biggest issue of all of these years and these thousands and thousands of past years that we've been living under, and we've been programmed to believe that this is all there is. So when you're moving from that level of awareness, that 3D level of awareness of duality, you start to explore more of your feelings, more of your thoughts. You start to go on a healing journey. You start to awaken and actually go on a quest for what you think it's true for you, for what you feel it's true for you. And this is the realm of the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is very, very complex. I actually have a couple of videos here, but I'll put one video here so that you can watch after this one just about 4D. And then when you move up to that 5D level of awareness, it's totally the opposite of what we experience here, because it's non-duality, it is love, it is oneness, it's unity consciousness. Okay, so this level of awareness is very much the opposite of everything that we've been programmed and conditioned to believe and how we've been living all of these years. So there's a lot of deprogramming, unconditioning, and co-creating the new paradigm, co-creating this new template. So I hope this is clear so far. Let's then just talk about awareness. We're not necessarily now talking about the arena, the dimensions, just the levels of awareness. We could say, just for the sake of explaining this, that there is a state of consciousness, and we can call this state of consciousness as in the overall level of consciousness or awareness. We can use consciousness and awareness interchangeably here, as in the overall frequency of someone. Okay, so the overall state of consciousness. And then there's a little bit of a difference from that to levels of awareness, or your awareness from moment to moment in your day-to-day life. Let me give you an example. So you might be in traffic, and I'll use this example because we tend to get triggered quite a lot, and a lot of emotions come up when you're in traffic. And let's say you get really angry, you get judgmental, you say some F words, and yeah, that is a very 3D moment in terms of level of awareness, because you can't really see the unity consciousness, you can't see the love, you can't see that the other person in the other car is just an extension of yourself, and it's just consciousness having that experience. It's very hard for you to be in that state. It's possible, totally possible, But let's say that you go through that experience. Someone who has a state of consciousness that's more rooted in 3D, maybe a lower 4D, they will just bypass that moment, and they will just continue. They will just perpetuate that traffic moment of divisiveness and judgment in other areas of their lives, and they will not be aware of it. They will not come home and reflect on how they behaved or what, how they're feeling, even the awareness of the emotion. Really, like these are emotions that are popping up, and I expressed it, I forgive myself, or it was just a moment, now I'm not there anymore, and I'm grateful for the energy that moved through me, and you move on. So that is a different state of consciousness. If you are in an overall state of consciousness that's more connected to that 5D, that's more connected to love and to oneness and to unity consciousness, you're able to observe yourself, maybe not in that moment, but after, and you're able to reflect, and you're able to give yourself compassion, forgive if you feel like you need to forgive yourself. You're able to recognize that that was just a moment of duality, but it's not who you are. You're not identified by that moment. And this is the main difference, okay? Again, someone who's just in 3D, they will just continue to have those moments and not be aware of that. If you are continuously expanding your consciousness, which is what they're saying in the message, that is the main goal, really. I would say if there's a goal to be set, and that is for our linear mind, because we like to set goals, the goal would be to, first of all, I would say, to be committed to that 5D consciousness, to be committed to that frequency of love and unity consciousness, and to stay committed, because you're not gonna necessarily be there all the time. But if you're committed to the frequency, which means you're committed to the expansion of your consciousness, more and more you'll be able to observe yourself, to observe your thoughts, to observe your feelings, to observe when you get triggered, to observe your moments, and then give that compassion to you. In other words, you are more and more connected to the higher version of yourself, to your higher self. Your higher self is not up here just judging you and just going, oh my God, what is he doing, right? This is the human version of our higher self. Our higher self is just watching us in deep, unconditional love, just guiding us. Yes, our higher self is always pushing us to our highest timeline, but we still have our free will, so our higher self is always respecting that. Our higher self is always just allowing us to be human. Our higher self knows that this is a human experience and that we need to go through certain things, sometimes a lot of times, over and over and over, to learn a lesson and to evolve. So I think this is the main difference, and I think that's when people might get confused, because if they're saying here that the goal is not necessarily to reach and stay in 5D, because that could be, at least for now, a difficult goal that's going to cause a lot of disappointment and maybe suffering, because then the minute that you get triggered, the minute that you perhaps feel like you judged something or even yourself, then you're going to feel like you're failing. Then you're going to suffer. And that's not a 5D state of consciousness. So staying in 5D, if that is your goal, or if this makes you feel like that you're achieving something for you, then I would say staying in 5D just means becoming more united, becoming more one with the higher version of yourself. And so the other goal too that's coming to mind is, the first one I said is stay committed to that 5D consciousness, to that frequency. And the other one is to co-create a new paradigm, the new earth. You are the new earth. You are the new paradigm. So when you start to observe yourself, when you start to expand your consciousness and live more from that state of consciousness, you have more moments of 5D in your life. That's when you start to co-create a new paradigm, because you're breaking through that old 3D matrix and you're doing things differently. So that's what a lot of light workers and starseeds are doing. And I just want to finish this by also saying that I don't want this to feel like it is a competition, like, oh, the more moments I have in 5D, I'm winning. It's not about that. 5D is all about the heart. And they say in the message, you're going through these ups and downs of life, of the human experience. You want to find your way back into your heart center. That's why it's important for you to make time to connect with your heart, to connect with your spirit, to meditate, to breathe, to ground, to be in your body, to take care of yourself, to have that multidimensional approach to your well-being. So it's not just the meditation, it's not just the food, it's not just the workout or the running, it's not just the breath work, it's everything. And from moment to moment, life is gonna throw challenges at you, but the Pleiadians always say that challenges are opportunities. Challenges are opportunities for you to grow, for you to evolve. And so traffic is a challenge, but it's an opportunity. If you're able to go on traffic and stay in your heart and you have a 5D moment in traffic, then that's a sign that you're very much connected to your heart and you're very much connected to that 5D version of you. And equally, someone might go into a very 5D event or situation, let's say, a walk in nature, right? Sunbathing or bathing in the sea, something that's very calming, that's very 5D, that's very blissful. But that person might be thinking about all of the things that they have to do later, and they're just thinking about, that person that said this or that to them. And so they're not having a very 5D moment. So it's not about letting the external environment or the external situation or the people around you to shift you out of your frequency. That's why ultimately the message here is to just continue to expand your consciousness and continue to find your way back into your heart center. Continue to expand your awareness and be kind to yourself, be kind to others, love yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you're able to love others. Have compassion towards yourself. Everything starts within. So if you're able to nurture that love, that compassion, that forgiveness, that 5D in you, you're gonna be able to extend that to others, to the external world, and the external world will be a reflection of your inner world. All right, I spoke a lot today. I hope that this is clear, or maybe you have even more questions. So if you have more questions, feel free to put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to reply. And if you would like to learn more about the dimensions of consciousness and how, this concept that might seem very out there or very macrocosmic, and how this applies to you, the microcosmos, I have this program called the Multidimensional Self. It's a 9-week program. It's a 9-week journey, really, that you go through all the 9 dimensions of consciousness according to the Pleiadians, and every week you learn about the first dimension, the second dimension, and then you have an experience of that dimension as well. We work a lot with breath work, with sound healing, there's channeling as well, there's guided meditations and activations. It's a beautiful journey that's going to not just awaken to your multidimensionality, but actually give you the tools and the information and the practice that you need to really embody that multidimensionality, because you are multidimensional beings, and it's my goal, it's my aim that you regain and remember your multidimensional potential. I have a new group starting on the 9th of September 2024, so you can apply now if you're watching this before this date. I'll put the link here in the description as well, but don't worry if it's not 2024 in your now moment. You can always apply, because I run this program twice a year, one in the first half of the year, the second one in the second half of the year. So you can always apply, and I'll add you to the waiting list, and I'll get in touch with you. I would love to guide you through this journey, and I'll leave the link here again, and I'll leave a link to this playlist as well, which I talk a lot about 5D. So if you want to learn more about 5D, I did it a few years ago, but it's a series about 5D consciousness that is still very relevant to today's world and to the topics of this video. I look forward to connecting with you, and as always, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you.